for the interruption. There was a phone call that came on and Sarah had to answer it. So I'm going to continue on where we left off. Communication is a huge for a social worker, and the documentation of that communication is just as important. Face-to-face is a primary communication between a social worker and the client, as social workers notice and communicate through non-verbal communications such as eye contact, fidgety actions, and vocal tones. This nonverbal communication must be documented as well, as it could be an important information if law enforcement or court trials become necessary. Phone calls are used to provide simple and immediate support when needed. Oftentimes, phone calls between the social worker and clients are to provide reassurance to the client or to schedule a meeting to follow up with the content of the phone call. Email is rarely used between the client and social worker. However, email is the most frequent form of communication between the professionals. There are daily, weekly, and monthly face-to-face meetings with meeting minutes emailed from the weekly and monthly meetings. All communication, regardless if it's the client or the professional or the colleague, must be documented. Sarah received her 4-year degree in 4.5 years from Minnesota State University of Mankato. This program was intended to complete in the average of 4 years. However, Sarah changed her major during the second year of college from early childhood education studies to social work. Sarah felt she was involved with children during too much of her day, as she was a single mom, worked at a daycare when it was not class, went to school for early childhood, and then raised her own son on her own, with the only adult interaction was during her classes. She received continuing training on support services that were constantly changing, along with the rules and regulations. The training includes new ways to support families, such as community resources, filling out forms to qualify for the services, local churches, volunteer groups to help with specific needs. Continuing ed credits are necessary to maintain her licensure. Sarah does not feel she is missing any formal training specifically. Sarah has a great support system she uses when she comes time for looking for resources, bouncing off ideas from each other. Learning about the career path as a social worker has opened my eyes as a whole new world of a profession. I knew that as a social worker, you were to provide support to others. However, I was unaware of how heart-wrenching the job really was. This assignment was very beneficial to me. I feel like it helped me in knowing what career path I want to follow, along with the weaknesses and strength I have for a career as a social worker. While I do not yet know if child protection worker is the exact profession I want to pursue, I do know for sure that becoming a social worker is the area I want to follow. I want an effective career that allows me to do that. I do know that I need to improve in my verbal communications skills, especially when it comes to larger groups, but I'm hoping that becomes easier and more naturally as I understand and learn more of the profession as I go. I'm going to continue to speak in front of those trustworthy people in my life, such as Sarah, to not lose the skills that I have gained over the past couple months. I am also going to continue to practice in front of the mirror to continue to build the encouragement I will be able to make a difference in lives and others, well, whether it is child protection or not.